Marcus Chun wiped the sweat from his forehead as he watched his twin daughters, Sarah and Maya, chase butterflies through the wheat field. The golden stalks swayed in the afternoon breeze of Kepler 442b, a planet that had become humanity's most successful agricultural colony. His farm stretched across 300 acres of the richest soil humanity had ever discovered, but lately, even that success felt hollow. The divorce papers lay crumpled on his kitchen table, signed and sealed. Helena had taken half of everything, including their savings and the fancy hover truck. She had also taken their son David, claiming Marcus was too attached to this backwater planet, and that the twins needed proper civilization on Earth. The custody battle had been brutal, but Helena's family connections in the Terran courts had won out. She got David. Marcus kept the twins only because they had begged to stay with their father and his farm. Now, at 35, Marcus found himself a single father on a frontier world, struggling to maintain his farm while raising two 8-year-old girls who missed their brother every day. The sound of heavy transport engines broke through his thoughts. A massive cargo hauler was descending toward the livestock market in town, its hull scarred and dented from countless interstellar jumps. Marcus frowned. The livestock market only saw big transports like that when exotic alien animals were being traded. Most farmers on Kepler 442b stuck to Earth cattle and chickens, proven livestock that thrived in the colony's environment. "Daddy, can we go see what's in the big ship?" Sarah called out, her dark hair catching the sunlight as she ran toward him. "Please, Daddy," Maya added, appearing at his side with grass stains on her overalls. Mrs. Peterson said, "They might have space horses." Marcus smiled despite his worries. His daughters had inherited his curiosity and their mother's fearless spirit. "All right, but we need to finish checking the irrigation system first." 3 hours later, they arrived at the livestock market in their old wheeled truck. The cargo hauler dominated the landing pad, its side bay doors open to reveal a glimpse of the holding pens inside. A crowd had gathered around a makeshift auction platform where Zektar traders in their distinctive blue environmental suits were displaying their merchandise. The Zektar were one of the few alien species that maintained regular trade with human colonies. They specialized in exotic livestock from across the galaxy, though their business practices were often questionable. Marcus had heard stories of Zektar traders selling diseased animals or creatures with hidden behavioral problems to unsuspecting farmers. "Welcome, humans of Kepler 442b, announced the lead Zektar trader through his suit's translator. His voice carried the characteristic metallic tone of the translation device. "Today we offer creatures of great value from the dragon worlds of Pyraxis Prime." Dragons. Marcus felt his heart skip a beat. Dragons were legendary among the farming communities. The massive, intelligent creatures were said to be the ultimate livestock guardians, capable of protecting entire ranches from predators while requiring minimal care. They were also incredibly rare and expensive. A single healthy dragon could cost more than Marcus's entire farm. The first dragon that emerged from the transport made the crowd gasp. It was a magnificent creature, 30 feet long with scales that shimmered like emeralds. Its intelligent golden eyes surveyed the crowd with obvious superiority. The bidding started at 50,000 credits and quickly climbed to over 200,000. Marcus watched in fascination as creature after creature was displayed. Each dragon was more impressive than the last, their scales ranging from deep crimson to brilliant azure. The farmers in the crowd bid aggressively, recognizing the value of owning such creatures. Then the atmosphere changed. "And now," the Zektar announced with obvious disdain, "we offer this defective unit at reduced price. Female, 28 feet, hatched 15 years ago. No reproductive capability. Suitable only for basic guard duties." The dragon that emerged was different from the others. Her scales were a deep midnight blue, so dark they seemed to absorb light. She was smaller than the previous dragons, but her build was more compact and muscular. Most striking were her eyes. Instead of the golden gaze of the others, hers were a brilliant silver that seemed to hold depths of intelligence and something else. Sadness, perhaps, or resignation. The crowd's enthusiasm died immediately. A Barren dragon was considered worthless by most standards. Dragons were valuable not just for their protective abilities, but for their potential to breed and create entire bloodlines. A dragon that couldn't reproduce was seen as a genetic dead end. Starting bid, 5,000 credits, the Zektar announced. Even his translator couldn't hide his disgust. The silence stretched uncomfortably. 5,000 credits was still a substantial sum for most farmers, especially for what was essentially a defective product. Marcus found himself studying the dragon more closely. Unlike the others, she didn't display herself proudly for the crowd. Instead, she seemed to be trying to make herself smaller, her great head lowered in what looked like shame. 4,000, someone called out, clearly hoping to get a bargain guardian for their livestock. 4,500, another voice added half-heartedly. Marcus felt Sarah tug on his shirt. Daddy, she looked sad. He looked down at his daughter, then back at the dragon. Maya had moved closer to the platform, her small hands pressed against the barrier separating the crowd from the auction area. The dragon's silver eyes met the little girl's gaze, and something passed between them. The great creature's expression seemed to soften slightly. She's not defective, Maya said quietly, her voice carrying in the sudden lull of bidding. She's just different. The Zektar trader clicked his mandibles in what might have been amusement. The human child understands merchandise better than the adults. This creature is indeed differently useless. Something hot and angry flared in Marcus's chest. He recognized that tone, the casual cruelty that dismissed someone's worth based on a single perceived flaw. It was the same tone Helena's lawyer had used when arguing that Marcus's obsession with farming made him an unfit parent. The same dismissive attitude that had cost him his son. 10,000 credits. Marcus called out before he could stop himself. The crowd turned to stare at him. 10,000 was more than double the current bid for a creature most considered worthless. The Zektar trader's compound eyes focused on him with sudden interest. The human farmer raises the stakes significantly. Do I hear 11,000? Silence. The other potential bidders were clearly unwilling to pay more for a Barren dragon. Marcus felt his heart pounding as he realized what he had just committed to. 10,000 credits would wipe out most of his savings, money he had been planning to use for new irrigation equipment and his daughter's education funds. But something about the dragon's silver eyes held him. There was intelligence there, and a dignity that reminded him of his daughters when Helena's family had called them just farm children during the custody proceedings. Going once, the Zektar announced. Going twice. Sold to the human farmer for 10,000 credits. As Marcus arranged the payment transfer, Sarah and Maya pressed closer to the barrier. The dragon had moved to the edge of her temporary pen, bringing her massive head down to their level. Her silver eyes studied the twins with gentle curiosity, and when Sarah hesitantly reached out, the dragon allowed the little girl to touch her scales. She likes us, Sarah whispered in wonder. What's her name? Maya asked. The Zektar trader overheard. Designation Nix, 447. No individual naming protocols were applied to defective units. That's not a name, Maya said with 8-year-old indignation. That's just numbers and letters. Marcus found himself smiling as he completed the payment. His daughters were right. The dragon deserved better than a cold designation. As the transport crew prepared to move Nix to his truck for transport to the farm, Marcus made a decision that would change everything. From now on, he told his daughters, her name is Luna, because her eyes shine like moonlight. The dragon, Luna, turned her great head toward him at the sound of her new name. For the first time since emerging from the transport, her posture straightened with something that might have been pride. Her silver eyes met his, and Marcus felt an odd sensation, as if something had just clicked into place. As they prepared to leave the market, Marcus overheard 2 other farmers talking. Chen's lost his mind, one muttered. 10,000 for a Barren dragon. Might as well have bought an expensive pet. Poor kids, the other replied. Their daddy's grief over the divorce is making him do stupid things. That dragon won't earn back half what he paid for her. Marcus ignored them, helping his daughters into the truck while Luna was loaded into the specially reinforced trailer they had rented. As they drove home through the golden afternoon light, Sarah and Maya chattered excitedly about their new guardian. They had already begun planning where Luna would sleep and what they would feed her. But Marcus found his thoughts drifting to Luna's silver eyes and the intelligence he had seen there. Something told him the other farmers were wrong. Something told him that Luna was exactly what his broken family needed, even if he couldn't yet understand why. The sun was setting by the time they reached the farm, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple that reminded Marcus why he had chosen to stay on Kepler 442b despite Helena's demands to return to Earth. This was home, the wide open spaces, the honest work of farming, the simple joy of watching things grow under an alien sun. As Luna emerged from the transport trailer, she paused to survey her new territory. Her silver eyes took in the wheat fields, the livestock pens, the modest farmhouse where warm light glowed in the windows. For the first time since Marcus had seen her, Luna lifted her great head high, her dark scales catching the last rays of sunlight. She was home too, Marcus realized, and somehow he knew that this moment, this choice to see value where others saw only defect, was going to change everything for all of them. The twins ran ahead to open the gate to the pasture Marcus had hastily converted for their new guardian, their laughter echoing across the farm. Luna followed them with careful, graceful steps, already beginning to settle into her role as protector of this small family that had chosen her when no one else would. Behind them, Marcus smiled as he watched his daughters begin what he suspected would be an extraordinary friendship with an extraordinary creature. The other farmers might think him foolish, but time would tell who had made the wiser choice. 6 months after Luna's arrival, Marcus began to understand why the Zektar traders had been so eager to sell her. It wasn't because she was defective, it was because they had no idea what they actually possessed. The first sign came during the harvest season. Marcus was working late in the fields, trying to bring the wheat before an approaching storm system could damage the crop. The old harvester had broken down twice that day, and he was running hours behind schedule. Sarah and Maya were supposed to be asleep in the house, but he could see them watching from their bedroom window, worried about their father working alone in the darkness. Luna had been patrolling the farm's perimeter, as she did every night. Her presence had already eliminated the pack of razor wolves that had been terrorizing the area's livestock for months. But that night, she did something no dragon in recorded history had ever done. Marcus was struggling with a jammed grain chute when Luna approached, her silver eyes glowing softly in the darkness. Instead of simply watching, she began to carefully manipulate the machinery with her claws. Her movements were precise, almost surgical, as she cleared the blockage and realigned the damaged components. "How did you know how to do that?" Marcus asked in amazement. Luna's response was a low, melodic sound that seemed to vibrate through the ground. It wasn't quite a purr, but it carried a sense of satisfaction and communication that made Marcus feel she was trying to tell him something important. Over the following weeks, Luna's abilities became even more apparent. She seemed to understand the farm systems better than Marcus himself. When the irrigation pumps failed, Luna guided him to the exact location of the broken underground pipe. When the chickens developed a respiratory illness, Luna led him to a specific area of the pasture where she had found medicinal herbs that grew wild on Kepler 442b. But it was her relationship with Sarah and Maya that truly revealed Luna's extraordinary nature. The twins had taken to spending their afternoons with Luna, reading to her under the shade of the old oak tree near the farmhouse. Marcus initially thought it was just childhood imagination, but he began to notice that Luna was actually responding to the stories. Her silver eyes would track the pages, and she would make different sounds for different characters in the books. "Daddy," Sarah announced one evening over dinner, "Luna can understand math." Marcus smiled indulgently. "That's nice, sweetheart." "No, really," Maya insisted. We were doing our homework outside, and she kept pointing at the wrong answers with her claw. When we fixed them, she made her happy sound. Curious despite himself, Marcus decided to test this claim. The next day, he brought his own calculations for crop yields and fertilizer ratios outside where Luna could see them. He deliberately included several errors in the math. Without hesitation, Luna pointed to each mistake with surgical precision. It was impossible, yet undeniable. Luna wasn't just intelligent. She possessed a mathematical and technical aptitude that exceeded most humans. The breakthrough came when Marcus received an emergency comm message from the colony's agricultural coordinator. A new strain of blight had appeared on 3 farms in the northern sector, threatening to spread to the entire colony's food supply. The terraforming specialists were baffled, and emergency food shipments from Earth wouldn't arrive for 6 months. Marcus was studying the transmitted data on his tablet when Luna approached and looked over his shoulder. Her silver eyes scanned the information, and then she made an urgent trilling sound. She moved to a clear patch of dirt and began drawing with her claw complex diagrams that looked like molecular structures. "What are you trying to show me?" Marcus asked. Luna's drawings became more elaborate. She sketched what appeared to be chemical formulas, then pointed toward the northern sector where the blight had appeared. Next, she drew additional symbols and pointed to her own scales. Understanding struck Marcus like lightning. Luna was showing him the molecular structure of the blight organism and suggesting that something in her own biology could counter it. That night, Marcus contacted Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the colony's chief xenobiologist. Elena had always been skeptical of dragon intelligence, but she agreed to come examine Luna's drawings and run tests. What they discovered changed everything humanity thought they knew about dragons. Luna's scales contained a complex array of nanostructures that could analyze and neutralize biological threats. Her midnight blue coloration wasn't a cosmetic variation. It indicated a rare genetic mutation that occurred in less than 1% of dragons. Instead of being barren, Luna was actually a biological engineer, her body naturally equipped to solve agricultural and environmental problems. "This is incredible," Dr. Rodriguez breathed as she reviewed the test results. Her scales aren't just protective, they're living laboratories. She can literally synthesize compounds to counter biological threats. The solution Luna provided for the blight was elegant in its simplicity. A powder created from her shed scales, when mixed with water and applied to infected crops, neutralized the pathogen within hours. The treatment was so effective that the colonial government immediately requested permission to collect Luna's naturally shed scales for future emergencies. Word spread quickly through the colony and beyond. Marcus began receiving communications from agricultural researchers across human space, all eager to study Luna and understand her capabilities. The Zektar who had sold her as defective demanded to renegotiate the sale, claiming they had been deceived about her condition. Marcus refused all offers to sell or relocate Luna, much to Sarah and Maya's relief. But he did agree to let researchers visit and learn, establishing the farm as an informal research station for dragon-human cooperation. The twins thrived in this environment, helping researchers communicate with Luna and documenting her problem-solving abilities. Their natural affinity with her made them invaluable translators, able to interpret Luna's various sounds and gestures in ways that amazed the visiting scientists. But the most profound change was in Luna herself. As her true nature became recognized and celebrated, her demeanor transformed completely. The sad, resigned creature from the auction had become confident and purposeful. Her silver eyes now shone with joy and satisfaction as she worked alongside her human family to solve complex problems. One evening, as Marcus watched his daughters help Luna analyze soil samples for a visiting team from the Agricultural Institute, he received an unexpected communication. It was David, his son, calling from Earth. "Dad," the 12-year-old said, his image flickering on the screen, "I saw the news reports about Luna. They're calling her the smartest dragon ever discovered. Marcus smiled, hearing the excitement in his son's voice. She's pretty special, that's for sure. How are you doing, David? I'm okay, but... David hesitated. Mom's been watching the reports too. She says maybe she was wrong about the farm being just a backwater planet. She's been asking if maybe I could visit next summer. Marcus felt his heart leap. He had never stopped hoping for a chance to rebuild his relationship with his son, but Helena's hostility had made it seem impossible. I'd love that, David. You could meet Luna and see how much Sarah and Maya have grown. As the call ended, Marcus reflected on how dramatically his life had changed since that day at the livestock auction. He had bought Luna thinking he was rescuing a defective dragon, but in reality, she had rescued his entire family. Her extraordinary abilities had brought recognition and opportunity to their farm, and a gentle nature had given his daughters confidence and purpose. More importantly, Luna had taught them all a vital lesson about seeing value where others saw only limitations. Just as the Zektar had failed to recognize Luna's true worth, Helena and her family had failed to see the richness of life on a farming colony. Both had made the mistake of judging worth by conventional standards rather than looking deeper. That night, as Marcus did his final check of the farm, he found Luna in her favorite spot under the oak tree, her dark scales almost invisible in the moonlight except for her glowing silver eyes. Sarah and Maya were curled up against her warm flank, sleeping peacefully after a long day of helping with research. Luna looked up at Marcus and made the soft melodic sound that he had learned meant contentment and gratitude. She understood that their family was healing, growing stronger through the challenges they faced together. Marcus sat down beside them, leaning against Luna's solid warmth. Above them, the alien stars of Kepler, 442b, shone down on a farm that had become the center of revolutionary agricultural research. Below, his daughters slept peacefully, dreaming of mathematical equations and molecular structures that would help feed entire worlds. In 6 months, everything had changed. But Marcus knew this was only the beginning. Luna's abilities were still being discovered, and each new revelation opened possibilities they had never imagined. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. A human farmer, his twin daughters, and a dragon who had proven that being different wasn't a defect, but a gift. The future stretched before them, bright with promise and possibility, built on the foundation of one simple truth. Sometimes the most valuable things in life are those that others are too blind to recognize. 2 years after Luna's arrival, Marcus stood before the Galactic Agricultural Council on the space station orbiting New Geneva, humanity's diplomatic capital. The council chamber was packed with representatives from dozens of species, all eager to hear about the revolutionary discoveries made on a small farm on Kepler, 442b. At his side stood Sarah and Maya, now 10 years old and officially recognized as junior xenobiologists by the Colonial Science Institute. Their natural ability to communicate with Luna had made them invaluable to the research community, and their insights had led to breakthrough discoveries about dragon intelligence and capabilities. Honored delegates, Marcus began, his voice steady despite the magnitude of the moment. 3 years ago, my family was struggling to survive after a difficult divorce left me a single father on a frontier world. Today, I stand before you representing a discovery that will change how we approach agricultural challenges across the galaxy. The presentation screen behind him showed images of Luna working alongside human researchers, her scales gleaming as she analyzed soil samples and synthesized complex compounds. The chamber fell silent as Marcus detailed the past 2 years of discoveries. Luna's abilities had proven even more extraordinary